What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, and NASCAR home here at fakepigskin.com. I'm your host, Kyle Robert. You follow me on Twitter at NotoriousKRO. With me once again, it's Brian Twining. What's up, Brian?
What's going on, Kyle? I am so excited for this week 16 of the NFL slate as we get football on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. What a great schedule.
Yeah, no, it's great. And as I was telling you before the show, I'm on vacation from now until January 4th. I will be watching the sports. I will be betting the sports. I will be loving every minute. Although I did take UCF and they're currently down 21-0. So off to a screaming start. I did like the over, but it got up to almost, I think it was 79 or 80.
And the live over is like 90 right now.
I was like, I can't. And the way this game is going, to be honest, like the under is probably the play because I think it'll look like this right now. And if BYU just keeps like dominating, the odds of it going over, it doesn't seem good. So hopefully, for my sake, UCF comes back and makes this game interesting and ends up winning the game. But we'll see. Long way to go. We're only in the first quarter, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're going to talk some Christmas Day and the day after NFL games. So this is how we're doing it. We're breaking it up into a couple different shows. We're going to talk the 4 games, the 1 game on Christmas Day, and the 3 games on the Saturday after. And then we'll be back tomorrow to break down the rest of the Sunday slate. But we will also give you the college football minute, which will preview all the any game that we like through Saturday. And then we'll be back, and then we'll add tomorrow's games for any other games that we may have missed. So Brian, let's jump into it. We got 4 games to dive into. And let's start with the Minnesota Vikings at the New Orleans Saints -7. Obviously, the Saints are coming off that loss to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. They're staying at home. Drew Brees looked okay. No Michael Thomas for this one. Alvin Kamara was back in full effect. Where's your head at for this one?
I'm leaning for the Saints in this game. I'm kind of staying away from the line here just because this is a game where Minnesota really needs to get on track here if they have any hopes of making the playoffs. And New Orleans minus Michael Thomas, that offense isn't necessarily the same thing. And with New Orleans being a full touchdown favorite right now, 7 in most spots, that 1 point makes a huge difference at the end of the day. The side that I'm really looking at though is the total, and currently sitting at around 51.5. And I'm hammering the over in this. And one of the bets that I really like, my favorite of the game, is probably the Saints team total over 30.5, because I think that Minnesota's offense, with how pass heavy they've been of recent weeks with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen just absolutely balling out, I think this game, the pace will be pushed a little bit more than what we saw against Kansas City. And I think that this game could become even more of a shootout than this last Sunday's game.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say because in theory, the Vikings defense really likes to let them other teams throw, but they won't have Michael Thomas. They won't have Traquan Smith most likely. I could see a lot of running, and I could see both teams running, and this game actually being over faster than we expect and kind of leaning under, especially with Kirk Cousins being, Kirk Cousins. But it has the ability with both teams to open it up, to score lots of points, and to make it really interesting. I think I like the Vikings the most of anything. Getting a full touchdown, I like that. Their offense has multiple ways to be really productive. They could slow it down and let Dalvin Cook and Madison kind of run. They could open it up. They could throw Jefferson and Thielen and make this look interesting. And as we saw last week, like, the Saints defense is good. They make big plays. Obviously, against Patrick Mahomes, it's a lot easier to look terrible. But I expect them to look better this week. But I still think this could be a game where the Saints kind of are leading from the first jump to the end. And then Kirk Cousins just knocks in the back door and ends up covering the game by a point or two, kind of like the game in Seattle.
I think that's exactly why I like the over in this game, and that's why I like the Saints over. Is
Yeah.
so Eric Kendricks is going to be out again for Minnesota in all likelihood, meaning their best cover linebacker is going to be out against possibly the best receiving running back in the NFL right now, and Alvin Kamara. You're going to have the revenge game of Latavius Murray going up against his former team here. You got the Minnesota Vikings, who I think the injury to Kyle Rudolph opens up, a more dynamic skill set at the position in Irv Smith Jr., who is an absolute, stud out there as a receiving option, and going up against New Orleans, where we saw Travis Kelce, do whatever he wanted to do this last Sunday. And with Jefferson and Adam Thielen out there being able to pick apart this team. And when Minnesota gets behind, I think they're like they're top 4 in the NFL in neutral in pace when trailing. And I think you're going to see that. You're going to see a ton of throwing. Dalvin Cook's big play ability in the receiving game is going to play a huge factor in this. And I think if the Saints are able to get out to a big lead, this will become an up and down style game for Minnesota.
Yeah, and I kind of like the Minnesota team total over. I'm doing some simple math here where I'm taking the total divided by 2 and then minus the spread. If I can get Minnesota team total anywhere under 3 touchdowns, I think I like that. I think 17, 18, 19 points, somewhere in there. If I can get the over on that, I think that's something I would definitely be interested, because even if New Orleans kicks the crap out of them and wins 42-24,
yep.
They cover their team total. So I would be looking at that as well. Anything else for this game before we move on?
We're talking about betting here, but if you're looking for a flyer for fantasy purposes, Emmanuel Sanders this week is just going to be peppered with targets, minus Traquan Smith and Michael Thomas being out against a Minnesota Vikings pass defense that is not good. I think that Emmanuel Sanders is going to see double-digit targets. He's looking at 7 to 8 receptions probably this week. So if you're in need of a wide receiver, make sure he's your number 1 waiver claim this week.
Yep, I like that call quite a bit. Looked good last week. It's amazing when you have Drew Brees back there. He actually looked pretty solid. Made some throws, but for the most part, looked pretty good.
And the Chiefs can make some quarterbacks look not very good because they play a unique style of defense.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs and the Saints both offer really unique defenses that can be had, but also offer opportunities to make big plays and kind of turn the game around. So let's talk some Tampa Bay Bucks minus 9.5 heading to Detroit. Now, as we were talking about before the game, or before the pod rather, this game kind of has some shenanigans, I guess you could say. There's the Lions shut down their facility. There's some COVID concerns. We'll see if it ends up happening on Saturday. With all the rest of the games actually happening on Sunday, or potentially even, it could be moved or moved to Monday. But we'll preview the game as if it's happening Saturday, and we'll kind of let it go. So, Brian, what are we doing with Tampa? Like, is this team, like, should they be almost double-digit favorites on the road against anybody? Even Chase Daniel?
Yeah, I just don't see a reason why they should be this big of a favorite. I know they looked okay this last week, but the inability of the Buccaneers to utilize Chris Godwin in this offense is something that kind of worries me for them going into the playoffs. And it's basically boomer bust with Tom Brady, as he's taking these deep shots, and finally he connected with Antonio Brown this last week. But Detroit's offense is not something to take lightly either, because if Matthew Stafford plays, which they're not going to shut him down. It's seeming like Darrell Bevel already came out and said that if Matthew Stafford is healthy, he wants to play, or if he's healthy enough, he wants to play. And this Lions offense, even minus Kenny Galladay, seems to be able to move the ball here. So I think that, a double-digit favorite here, if this creeps anywhere into the 10 range, I'm all over Detroit. I don't want any part of Tampa Bay, they've been susceptible to, eggs on offense. They start really slow in a bunch of games. So I like this game as another over, with Detroit in 6 of their last 7 games, minus the Carolina debacle. Their game totals have hit 54 plus in 6 of their last 7.
I like it.
The total is sitting at 53.5 in most books. It opened at 54. So some people are on the under, but I'm all over the over here.
Yep. And this game opened up or I would say the Bucks stop the run really well and have issues against the opposing passers. So this could be a nice spot for DeAndre Swift out of the backfield. Hawkinson, Quez Cephas, all that. I like a lot of their options, and
Yep.
even Chase Daniel when he came in for Matt Stafford looked pretty solid. So yeah, I think if you can get this game under double digits, which I feel like is pretty reasonable, or I mean, I guess above double digits, I would be lining up to back the Lions, and probably going to be my best bet this week.
Woo!
Let's talk some San Francisco 49ers at Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals, they made me look foolish on Sunday, and they beat the Eagles.
By a half a point you didn't cover.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Yep.
So the Niners are starting C.J. Beathard. We'll see what that means. They have pieces on both sides of the ball. They're playing a home game because they've been in Arizona for the past couple weeks. Once again, the Sharps are on the Niners, even though week after week, they're, last 2 weeks against Dallas, against Washington have looked terrible. We'll see if Beathard could make the offense move, but are we going to roll with Arizona here? Do we think they've got some stuff figured out, or is this all smoke and mirrors and we're going to end up hating this game across the board?
So this isn't going to be one of my most bet games here, but I am falling on the side of the Cardinals here, minus the 4.5. The 49ers are just becoming the most injury riddled team in the NFL in some time now. I mean, Deebo Samuel's out for the rest of the year. Raheem Mostert's not playing anymore. Who the hell's going to play running back this week with both Jeff Wilson now also dealing with an ankle injury at the end of this last game? I mean, you're going to see Tevin Coleman and Jerick McKinnon finally. And then also, not to mention, it was announced today that it's likely going to be Jerick McKinnon, Kendrick Bourne, I think, and somebody else who's going to play backup quarterback for CJ Beathard, as they have no other active guys unless they activate Josh Rosen, which how many plays is he going to know? So, yeah. Arizona with Kyler Murray, he seems to be back to full health. He's not afraid to run right now. Finally getting Nuke involved down the field again. And that is something that makes this offense go. And the fact that they got Larry Fitzgerald involved in the end zone. Like, if they're able to open up this offense by, spreading the ball around a little bit more, Arizona's offense is one to not mess with.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to back the Cardinals here. I know smart people are going to keep backing the Niners, and I get it, from a coaching standpoint, sure, but they just don't have the pieces. And as CJ Beathard was behind Nick Mullins for a reason. He's just not very good. And maybe he's just not that big of a downgrade, but I have questions kind of across the board about what this Niners team is at this point. And as much as I don't love what Arizona is and what they've been kind of the past few weeks, I think they're heading in the right direction. I think they look pretty solid, and I think they can cover a touchdown at home. For the last game of this pod, we have the Miami Dolphins on the road as a 3-point favorite at the Las Vegas Raiders.
Ooh.
Marcus Mariota time?
I think that would be fantastic for the Raiders offense if they got Mariota in there. And also for me as a fantasy football player, because Mariota's favorite target was Darren Waller. So I would love to see that. But it looked like Derek Carr participated in practice on a limited basis today. So we'll see. Both of them took reps with the first team offense. I just have a hard time getting behind road favorites like this. But that being said, this Raiders team, I mean, what is their identity right now? We thought they were going to be this ground and pound offense. Josh Jacobs is going to be involved in the passing game. We haven't seen that come to fruition. We haven't even seen them. Yeah, we haven't even seen them get dedicated to getting him involved in the passing game, with both Jalen Richard and Devontae Booker seeing more plays, more targets over the last few weeks. And then the Dolphins, what are they going to have on offense in terms of explosive players here on the outside, minus Lynn Bowden and Salvin Ahmed, apparently, who is fantasy superstar. for me, this game, I'm not touching the line. I'll be betting the under in this. It's currently at 47. And I know the Raiders games have been smashing the overs because their defense is atrocious, but I can see this game being real slow paced. I see Oakland or Las Vegas, trying to run the ball more. You see Miami trying to run the ball, just keep the ball away from the Raiders. And I think that Miami's defense will do enough to probably wind up winning in like the 24-20 range or 21-17 type of game.
Yeah, I'm all over the Dolphins here. I think this is a prime spot because on defense, this is a turnover-prone defense that keeps making plays. And whether it's Marcus Mariota, whether it's a banged-up Derek Carr, either way, I feel great about where their defense is going to be. And then the Raiders' defense is just a mess right now. And Tua, I know he's not going to have a lot to deal with, but between Lynn Bowden and Salvin Ahmed and whatever else they can cobble together, I expect them to be able to be productive enough. I think the Dolphins go on the road. I think they win this game by at least 3 points. I'd like to find a 2.5 if I can. But if that does not exist in the market, I'm fine lining up to take the Dolphins at 3.
Okay, so on that note, I'm looking back at some of my past wagers here, and one of my look ahead wagers from the 18th of December was I bet Miami +1 against the Raiders. And, based on the results of this last game for the Raiders and the fact that Derek Carr got hurt, you see the lines flip a total 4 points. So that's why, again, we hearken on looking at these lines a week ahead of time as well, because you can find great value in these.
Yep. And some of the look ahead lines, like if you can actually find them and bet them, that's good. Like for example, what you were talking about. But sometimes they do list numbers that are on some random sports book that nobody actually bets, and then majority of the lines are a lot closer to where it is. But yeah, the Dolphins being favorites on the road is pretty crazy. But I think it's a good spot, and these are two teams that are trying to finish off, potentially making a playoff push. So we'll see how this sets up. Obviously no best of the rest because we covered the 4 games. Like I mentioned, we will be back tomorrow to break down the rest of the Sunday, Monday games. I did want to talk some college football minute, as Brian mentioned, in terms of look aheads. He did mention last week how much he liked BYU today. And right now BYU is winning 21-7. So far, so good for you, sir. Jumping ahead is quite the move.
It hasn't been a great college football season for me, to say the least, though.
For the rest of this week, is there any games you're looking at as potential bets for the bowl season?
For this upcoming week, the one game that really I'll be most interested in is on Saturday, which is going to be the Liberty Coastal Carolina game, just because I want to see Coastal Carolina, finish the season undefeated, as not getting a chance to like prove themselves on a New Year's Six bowl, or even Cincinnati, like they got snubbed. So I'll be really interested when they play their bowl game. But the Coastal Carolina game with the total of 59. The last time I took them over against BYU in a game that we had expected them to go up and down the field, it turned out to be Coastal Carolina's defense that won the game, and they just kept the ball on the ground. And I think that we're going to see Coastal do the same thing, that their rushing attack will win this game for them. And this game will probably wind up being like 30-24 or something. So I'll be taking the under in that game. It's currently sitting at 59.
I have a few things I'm looking at. I love Florida Atlantic against Memphis. I think anything over a touchdown is good. It's like 8.5 or 9 right now, depending on where you look. The one thing I will say in general, I found that if you like the favorite, to take them minus the points, and if you like the underdog, don't be afraid to sprinkle that money line, because a lot of times these games come down to who's more invested, who's trying to get a win, and a lot of these teams will sneak up and get that W, or they'll get absolutely trounced, like UCF right now, who is getting absolutely trounced. I like UAB against South Carolina. UAB is up to a touchdown favorite. There's a lot going on in South Carolina. They've had coaching changes. They've had shutdowns of the facility. They're having all kinds of issues. Brian touched on Coastal versus Liberty. I like Coastal in that spot. Minus the 7. Man, there's some interesting games. Well, I won't go too far. I don't want to go too far into next week. Miami, Oklahoma State is pick that off. Let's see. Anything else? The Rainbow Warriors getting almost 2 touchdowns against Houston. I kind of like Hawaii.
So the other game that I'm really looking at is the Marshall Buffalo game. You get to see Jarrett Patterson in a bowl game for Buffalo, who is ridiculous this year in just 6 games. Breaking all sorts of college football rushing records this season. Going up against the Marshall Thundering Herd, who on the season they're only allowing about 90 yards a game on the ground. So we get to see strength versus strength here with Marshall's run defense, but Marshall's offense has been absolutely non-existent the last 2 games. They've scored 13 points in their last 2 games, where Buffalo has been, tearing it up this year, scoring 70 once this season and, 40 plus in pretty much every single game this year. So I really like that game. I like Buffalo to win that because I think that their running game will overcome Marshall's strength on defense. And I like Buffalo minus 4.5 in that.
Yeah. You can even get it at 3.5 at FanDuel. So shop it around, find a better number. But yeah, I'm with you. Buffalo is absolutely the side. Okay, Brian, time for your best bet. What do you got?
Oh man, because I don't like betting unders, my best bet is gonna be the over in Tampa Bay Detroit. I expect this game. I expect Detroit to be chasing Tampa Bay all day. You're going to see either Tampa Bay's defense put up points or Detroit's going to find a way to, find the end zone 3 times, and Tampa Bay will be able to do their part to hit here. So I'm going to be taking over 54 in Tampa Bay and Detroit for my best bet.
I'm going to go with the Dolphins. I love their defense in this spot. I love what their offense is going to be able to do enough. And I don't trust the Raiders. They are going in the wrong direction. They are struggling with teams that are not as good as they are. And they're not in a good spot. I did think it was funny that Marcus Mariota and Derek Carr, 2 quarterbacks that have traditionally had issues playing all 16 games. So when they were able to get both of them on the same team, I was like, perfect. Now you have 2 quarterbacks. They could play half a season, call it a day. Is there what bets from this line or from this slate are going on to your official betting card?
So I'll be doing a full card on Saturday for sure, and I'll be taking the over in Tampa Bay, Detroit, over 54. I like Arizona laying the 4.5 or in 5 in some cases I've seen, and then I'll be taking the under 47 in Miami and Las Vegas.
Lions plus 10, Arizona minus 5, Dolphins minus 3. That's what I want. I would like 2.5 with the Dolphins. I can live with 9.5 with Detroit, but I'd rather have the full 10. And I think even in buying it, if it's minus 120, is worth your time. Those are my 3 bets for Friday, Saturday, and then on, like Brian said, we'll be back tomorrow to break down the Sunday slate to give you some more thoughts on how we can win some money. Brian, it was, as I mentioned on the live stream, God, jeez. UCF is just like not trying. Like, this is going to get real ugly. I should have just taken the over. UCF's going to score enough to get to 80, and BYU's going to score 60 on their own. So
I'll be okay with that because I took BYU's team total live at 52. So I kind of need BYU to start putting up some more points here.
Well, they just scored again, so it's at 28. So they're halfway there, or almost halfway there. Cool. All right. Well, that was fun. I can't wait to see how I'm going to lose money tomorrow betting on sports. But we will be back to break it all down tomorrow. So make sure you join us. For Brian Twining, I'm Kyle Robert, and we'll talk to y'all next time.